Hey guys, welcome back to the Interceptor, and here we are again with the tech class this time. So this is going to be the top 10 champs, the tech champs in MCOC, in my opinion. Let me turn down the brightness again, because I keep forgetting to turn it down. There we go. Okay. And I'm going to turn down the brightness on here. Oh, that just went over to YouTube, didn't it? Okay, there we go. So we'll go over the top 10, and then I actually have 5 honorable mentions for the tech class. So let's get into it. I do need a little more brightness to see my screen. Hopefully this actually works, because I already recorded this once yesterday, and the face cam was like way behind. But my first 2 videos worked out perfectly, so I really don't know what's up with that. But anyways, let's get on with it. Starting off our honorable mentions for the top 10 tech champs January 2022 is this a champ I have? This is a champion I have, and that's going to be War Machine. Now, War Machine, he's actually got decent damage. Like, it's not crazy, but it's good. And for me, it was between War Machine and Doc Ock for who's going to get the last honorable mention spot. And I thought that, like, Doc Ock is great. I just don't think he has a lot of use right now. And War Machine has good pre-fights for Tech Champions cleansing debuffs, which is very useful. So, for right now, I'm going to give it to War Machine. But that is a spot that is definitely up for grabs in the future. Next up is a champ I do not have as a 6-star, but I do have as a 5-star. That's going to be Darkhawk. You pair this guy with the Night Thrasher synergy, and when you're switching between modes, you throw that L2, and you've got some serious damage going on there. He's also a good champ for incursions. I've had a partner that I was doing incursions with use him, and I saw some of the gameplay, and he was just melting. It was insane. Number 3, this is a champ I don't have at any star level. And this is going to be Mr. Silver Centurion. Now, Silver Centurion is one that looked really good on the original gameplay when he was in the CCP testing and stuff, and I thought he looked pretty good. And the gameplay does look solid. He just didn't become that Guardian level champion that everyone was, I think, expecting him to, or maybe hoped that he would. And I think number 13 tech is a good spot for him. Now, this next one, the second honorable mention, is a champ that was actually in the top 10. I believe he was actually in 9th until the addition of 2 new champions came into this list. So I did make the tech class before. I'm pretty sure I posted it, I think, but I might have made it and then not posted it. I'm not sure. And obviously one of the champs in the top 10 did not exist at that time, and the other got buffed. So I had to push 2 out of the top 10. And Hulkbuster is going to be the first one. He is going to be at the number 2. So the 12th place tech. And honestly, he has good damage. His regen's okay. And his utility's fine with the power drain. But you have to throw it into the block. It's super awkward. And, he's good. I just don't think he's anything special, so I'll put him there. Last honorable mention spot. This is a champ I don't have as a 5-star, or as a 6-star, but is available as a 6-star. That is Star-Lord, the OG Labyrinth God. I know he was my second rank 5 after Blade. I do not regret it. I would do it 100 times over. If I got him for the first time right now, I would rank him up. Give him a generic Awakening Gem if I had to, and 199 6 zones. I definitely would. There was always a comparison made between Star-Lord and Spidey, Stark Spidey, for who's the better Labyrinth, and I think it was not even close. I think Star-Lord was so much better, but that's just my opinion. I don't really have to explain his abilities. It's so straightforward. You just keep your combo, and you do more damage. The only slight downside to him is that the utility he has in Power Drain is dependent on RNG, which is just unfortunate. Other than that, very good champion. Now we get into the top 10 I have most of these as 6 stars. I think I'm only missing like 3. Yeah, I'm only missing 3. So at number 10 in the tech class is going to be a champ that I really, really want to rank up, and that is Sentinel. I have a rank 5 star. I think he's like SIG 140 or maybe even SIG 200. I'm not sure, somewhere in there. But Sentinel is just awesome. He is a very good champion. His awakened ability provides him some resistance to power drain, and also is it just power drain? Anything that causes him to lose power. Okay. And also he gets 20 of his analysis charges whenever the opponent throws 2 specials that are the same in a row. So special 1, a few combos, then a special 1. Of course, all of his analysis charges are doubled against mutants and halved against cosmics. But he's got some solid damage. He has heal block and armor break on the L1. He has got shock on his heavy attack, incinerate on his L2. He gets a passive armor up on his L3, and when you use another L3, he gains he gets regen, and it's actually very significant regen. Like, it's good enough to want to use 2 L3s. It's like a third of his health, I think. It's something like a third of his health. And yeah, he's just a solid champion. He stands up to the game right now. Again, I probably would be using him if he was awakened. I'd take him to rank 3. He'd be my next rank 3 tech. But yeah, Sentinel, very solid champ. He deserves that number 10 spot. And the number 9 spot I'm going to give to 2 champions, both of which I don't have as a 5 or 6 star. And that is going to be Vision. Vision, Age of Ultron, and this OG Vision. Now, normally I wouldn't do this in a tier list, but individually, like, let's say if only one of these 2 champions existed, both of them would place in the number 9 spot. So I thought that since their abilities are almost identical, with the slight difference being their SIG ability, where this Ultron, he gains power, like, in random, they're not random, but like over time, he gets an amount of power, power gain bursts from synthesis, and the other one has power steal when you throw specials. They're just so close that I'll put them both at number 9. And then we'll move on to number 8. And this is going to be Mysterio. Now, Mysterio on his own would probably still make this list, but he'd be like number 2 or 3 in the honorable mentions. But Mysterio with the Penny Parker synergy is a different champion. All you need to do is get your 3 chemical gas and throw the L3, and you get a 22-second passive that increases your damage by 252%. So that you're doing over 3.5 times as much damage as you were before, and you gain, while you have that passive, the 22-second passive, all of your poisons do 300% more damage, which is insane. That's like 9 times as much damage on your poisons as just like throwing it regularly. And also, what the Penny Parker synergy does is whenever you throw heavy attacks, normally it removes all your chemical gas and it applies a poison of a certain potency based on how many chemical gas you had. And with the synergy, it just doesn't remove them. So you can just literally sit there for 22 seconds after you get your chemical gas back up, so probably about like 17, 18 seconds, and just go and parry heavy. And those poisons do insane damage. He is viable in Alliance War, but he shouldn't be used like commonly. I mean, I've used him this season even. He's a great questing champion. I'm pretty sure he can solo Star-Lord in Labyrinth. I'm pretty sure. I'm not 100% sure about that one. I'm pretty sure he can, though, as a rank 3. But yeah, Mysterio's just an awesome champ. He's very overlooked, and he deserves that number 8 spot. Next is going to be Nebula. So Nebula is a champion that was just buffed very recently, and who before was rather useless is now actually pretty good. So the strategy with Nebula is you want to build up your 20 shocks, and then you want to land a parry against a contact hit. It will not trigger against non-contact hits. And then you want to throw your L2. So you get the 20 shocks on by landing a parry against a contact hit. Now it does not have to stun, so it works on stun immune defenders as well. It just has to be a contact hit that you parry. And then you throw an L2, and it turns all those shocks, and they just do insane damage. For each shock removed this way, she inflicts 2 shock debuffs, each dealing 2,512 energy damage over 3 seconds. So basically, that turns into 40, doing 25k. 2.5k. So that's 100k right there. Plus suicides and boosts also factor into that. And I'm not running suicides currently, so it would be more. It doesn't actually change it on here, but it does change it in the fight. I've tested that out before, which is not the case for all champions. It's really weird. It's inconsistent. But yeah, Nebula, she's also got a synergy with Proxima Midnight, where she starts with 10 of her charges, which means you just have to spend half the time ramping up her shocks, which is awesome. But yeah, Nebula is just awesome, and she deserves that number 7 spot. Number 6 is a champ I do not have. I think I might have him as like a 3-star. Yeah, I do have him as a 3-star, and that's Nimrod. Nimrod, other than Kitty, is the only other featured that I want. Only other featured champion that I want in the current featured. But Nimrod, he's just awesome. A lot of people in my alliance use him in Alliance War every single time. And his L2 with those shocks, I mean, the massive shocks, it can do some crazy damage. Not to mention, he's not that bad of a defender in Alliance War. So yeah, Nimrod, very, very solid champion, dubbed the Mutant Killer or the Tech Human Torch by a lot of people. But yeah, he's a great champion. He deserves that. Now we'll go into the top 5 skill champions in January 2022 in MCOC. And we're going to be starting off with ULTRON. Now, ULTRON is one of the most underrated champions, even after his buff. Like, he's getting love, but he is getting nowhere near the love that he deserves. Like, it is insane. Nimrod actually is a good example, who is a champ that's getting a lot of love right now and doesn't deserve it as much as ULTRON. ULTRON's just better. He's currently bugged where the L3 cauterize effects that you get from that you get with the synergy is permanent, and it's bugged, but it doesn't matter. Even without that synergy, like, he's just an awesome champion. He is double immune. When you're awakened, you heal from you take 1/3 energy damage that you normally would, and you also reduce the duration of incinerate and shock effects by up to 80%, which is very significant. Now, mine's unduped, but yeah, ULTRON's just an awesome champ overall. You complete all of your in-fight missions, and then your heavy attack just stacks up a ton of bleeds, and then when that's against mutants, it turns into degens because there are a lot of bleed resistant or bleed immune mutants. And ULTRON is just a monster. Also, degen is one of the very few debuffs that Emma Frost is not immune to in her diamond form, so it kind of bypasses that, which is really cool. In addition to that, he still has his awesome abilities from his old kit that made him one of the top Alliance Quest champions for a long time. Basically, like up until like a year ago, I'd say he was a very good option for Alliance Quest. And that is going to be his regen. He still has that regen. When he gets below 50%, he heals about 28% of his health. And same thing happens 25 to 80. So let's say you go into a fight with 26% health. You take a few parries, get to 25. You heal back to like 52. You take a few parries. You get to like 77%. And you can just heal 50% every single fight like that. And it's really awesome. You also got the guaranteed armor ups when you land parries, which is really cool for reducing incoming damage. You can control when you evade. But on the timer, I mean, like, you can either let them hit you to trigger the evade, or you can just back off to not trigger it. The only downside is that sometimes you can't land parries when you want to. But it can also come in handy when evading specials that you know you're not going to be able to dex or unblockable or something like that. And also, Ultron was the first ever champion that I got a solo on the 7.3 Kang boss with, which was really, really cool. And yeah, he's just really, really good overall. If Degen was not one of the debuffs that amplified the high ground mastery, I was actually going to use him in place of Mysterio in the first war. But unfortunately, because Red Magneto is a high ground defender, I was not able to do that. And then let's get into the top 4. So I believe all of the top 5 are champs I have at rank 3. And the next one, number 4, is going to be Guardian. So my 6-star Guardian is at rank 3, but he's only Sig 18. He's getting all of my tech stones, and he'll probably get all my generics after I take Hercules to Sig 200. But for right now, I did give him a Tech Awakening gem, and I've given him 17 Tech Sig stones so far. But my 5-star is Sig 200 at rank 5. And he is a champ that kind of benefits from being Sig 200, and like his Sig ability gives him extra block proficiency. It gives him what is it? It's also he is the energy resistance and the bleed resistance. Now when you build that bleed resistance up with high Sig, you heal from suicides, which is really, really cool. You also have a resistance to crit, or plus 92.99. Oh, that's not a percentage. That's just a flat amount of critical damage resistance. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Also, like a few champions like Guillotine, Crossbones, he does not have the ability to crit. So he can't land critical attacks, but whenever his attack would have crit, he inflicts a burst of shock damage in its place. Now, while that almost always helps in the cases of champs like Doom, Mole Man, Thing, obviously you're not going to get that extra burst of damage. But honestly, I never really noticed that it like cripples him or anything. He also has a synergy with himself that gives the entire team, every champ but him, plus 1,250 block proficiency. Now, it doesn't actually matter that it's every champ except for him, because he has perfect parries, which is really nice. I think he needs like Sig 100 to have perfect parries, but he does have them at that point and up. Also, he has an ability where whenever he parries a projectile part of a special attack from the opponent, like while time blocks it, he takes no damage, so like it's a perfect block, and he gains 10% of a bar power, which is not like crazy, but let's say you're fighting someone like Miles Morales, who has those 3 quick shots on the L1. You can actually parry all 3 of them. The timing is possible. I've done it many times before. And you just get a free third of a bar power every time he throws an L1, which is really nice. And it's just useful all over the place. Is it only... No, it's just special attacks. It does not have to be projectile. It's just a little trickier when it's contact special attacks. But yeah, Guardian at number 4. He is awesome. He has a synergy that helps out others. He makes champions with bad block proficiency, like Cull Obsidian and MODOK. He makes them viable in content. Like, Cull Obsidian is just useless without Guardian. But yeah, Guardian just fixes that problem. And he's very common to take along on a team. Next one, my first rank 3 6-star, also my first SIG 200, and also my first gem I used, and that is going to be Guillotine 2099. Now, on the day that I 100% all of Act 6 on my last path, I streamed this, and in the opening for 100%, I pulled Guillotine 2099 for the first time. I pulled the Tech Awakening gem, and I pulled a full tier 5 CC tech. So I was able to take Guillotine straight to 345 and awaken her, and actually took her to exactly SIG 69, which was not like it's like, obviously people do that as a joke, but no, it was genuinely all of the SIGs I had just happened to work out that way. But yeah, I used her a ton. Although she mostly got placed on Alliance War defense, I did use her in content whenever I could. I've used her in Alliance Quest a few times. Like Guardian, she does not have the ability to crit, but whenever she doesn't, she places degens on the opponent. She's got a very strong power drain on her L1. She has a heal reversal on her L2, and her L3 can capture a soul by killing the opponent with the L3, and that allows you to start the following fight with a 100 combo, and her damage ramps up, the passive damage from hitting, so that is extremely useful. Basically starts her out doing like 3 to 4 times as much damage as she would do with 0 combo. On top of that, she is a robot, so she obviously has the bleed and the poison suicide, bleed and poison immunities, and she is one of the top incursions champions because when she reaches under 50%, she heals back a ton of health. Let me see exactly how much, but it's like a lot of health. Recovering 5373 health per Digisoul over 4 seconds. Now, that is a third of her. No, that's more than a third of her health, right? Because you have, yeah, she has 2 Digisouls, so that's like, okay, that's like almost 11k, almost. So it's a little over a third of your health, but it is quite significant. And also, she has an ability where your heavy attacks put a combo shield on you, and her SIG ability says that whenever she has a combo shield, when getting hit, the damage she takes is capped, so she actually prevents any damage excluding L3s while she has a combo shield to do any more than 10% of her health, which is really, really cool. And yeah, Guillotine 2099, she's just awesome. She's still in my prestige, although when I awaken Hercules, take him to SIG 200, she will no longer be in my prestige because she is currently in last. But now we will get into number 2 and number 1 and number 2. Obviously, these are going to be 2 top champions, probably both in the top 10 in the entire game. Warlock is going to be number 2, and mine's not duped. He doesn't need the SIG ability. It's just a little more damage while you're power draining the opponent. When the opponent's power is drained or burned. But he's just a very good champ overall. He's immune to poison, bleed, cold snap, and frostbite, so he counters Iceman very well. Get an infection on the L1 power drains. The L2, if you already have an infection, gets 2 at the start, and regardless of if you have an infection, inflicts 2 armor breaks at the end, so you get 4 armor breaks from it. So your L2 can actually do some very nice damage. I actually use him in war all the time. He's one of my most common war attackers, and for good reason, because he's just awesome. His L3 heals as well, and unlike Sentinel, he only needs to throw it once to heal, and he heals more for every infection that he has up on the opponents. Yeah, regenerate that much health for each infection the opponent has. So yeah, he's just super awesome, and he deserves the number 2 spot. Number 1, I think it's pretty obvious who number 1 is. Number 1 is going to be Ghost. She is the number 1 champion in the entire game, and no one is close. So, obviously, she's going to be number 1 in the tech class. I have a rank 5 5-star at SIG 200, and as of recently, I took my rank 3 6-star to SIG 200. So, yeah, you can tell I really love Ghost. She was one of my main attackers in War for a while. Actually, I got to use her a lot in Isolated A. She was like pretty much my number 1 champion. But with the introduction of attacker bans, I've yet to see a war in Tier 1 where Ghost was not banned. So Ghost and Torch are always banned, and then the third is, I don't know, it's up in the air. You can choose. But Ghost is just crazy. Her SIG ability allowing her to start the fight phasing and gaining 5% of your total bar power. 5% of your total power, which is 15% of a bar power every single time they hit into your phase, is just awesome. Even without throwing an L1 boost, if the opponent like hits twice into your phase, you hit them once. Hits twice into your phase, you hit them once. You get to an L2 before they get to an L1. Now, that's not directly power control, but I'd argue that's a very strong form of power control. One of the few tech champions that has reasonable power control. Mysterio, Vision, obviously are other big ones. Guillotine, Warlock, to name a few. But yeah, Ghost is just awesome. You throw on Tech Boost, you throw on Wasp and Hood, and you just cruise your way through Alliance War, and it's like an Act 1 quest. And I'm being serious. But yeah, Ghost is just insane. Obviously, she's number 1 on the tech list. And we are just going to go through the top 15 in January 2022. And I'm not going to say the numbers. I'm just going to go from bottom to top. And it is War Machine, Darkhawk, Silver Centurion, Hulkbuster, Star-Lord, Sentinel, both Visions tied at 9, Mysterio, Nebula, Nimrod, Ultron, Guardian, Guillotine 2099, Warlock, and Ghost. Now, a lot of you will probably be expecting Stark Spidey to have been in this list. He's just not. Like, he doesn't deserve it. Even when he was being commonly used as a Labyrinth option, I don't think he was good. Like, even back then, I don't think he was good. And there's one reason. There's one ability that he has that if they took out, he would be definitely on this list. Probably in the number 10 spot ahead of Sentinel, and Sentinel would be number 1 in the honorable mentions. And that is the fact that his evade can trigger on your parries. So if the opponent dashes on you and you parry them, you can evade. Why? Also, it can trigger on your dex. So if the opponent would have hit you and you dex them, your evade has a chance to trigger. And if the opponent used a medium either to hit into your parry or that you dexed, and then follows that up with a light attack, the animation is so close if it's an aggressive AI that it is physically impossible to block or dex or hit them in time. You just get comboed. So you can be playing literally perfectly and they can dash at you and you can try to land a parry. Boom, you're dead. That's how fast it happens in Alliance War. Now, obviously, you'd have like invulnerability boost or something like that. But just the fact that even playing completely perfect, one of his garbage abilities makes that happen, that is enough to completely eliminate him from my list. And that's always been the way that I thought about him. Now, I don't hate him. I honestly don't hate him. I took the 5-star up to rank 4. Just for fun. And I do have the 6-star. But the 6-star is just an arena champion. But that is going to conclude my top 10 list for Tech Champs. I actually kept this one under 30 minutes. So I'm happy with that. That is going to be all. I don't know how often I'm going to be doing these videos. Maybe like once every 6 months, maybe once every 4 months. I don't know. Because the game's always changing. Even champions that don't even get adjustments to them. No new synergies, no new nothing. They might get into this list. They might go down. They might go up. Like, who knows? It's just the meta of the game. So that is going to be all for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you later.